So finally, we're done with this pathetic, cooked, embarrassing, overrated international break. International breaks that don't even make any sense, right? This is like our third or like fourth international break so far this season. And Barcelona have only been like 3 to 4 months deep for the 2024-2025 seasons. I feel like the international break, like this whole thing, it has increased. Like we're having about 6 international breaks per season. And so I don't know how many more games these players have to play for these people, FIFA, or for whoever is like in charge, for them to know that this is just overplaying the players, that they get fatigued. I know that sometimes it is fun to see our players, represent their international teams, like in Spain or maybe in Germany or whatever. But like, there's always that 50-50 chance that those players could get injured during the international break, and it does harm FC Barcelona. We have seen it happen so many times, and I'm just not a big fan of having more than 3 to 4 international breaks per season. I think that it is okay to have maybe 2. I would be happy with 1, but at the most 2. I would be okay with that. But to have more than 2, really, do you really want to have that? This whole scheduling thing for football, it is embarrassing, and it fatigues and tires the players, and that is why they do encounter very serious injuries in the end. But now we're here, right? Barcelona is now 24 hours away from playing their match against Celta Vigo, and it's going to be very exciting, very fun. Every time we do speak about Hansi Flick's Barcelona, we always get excited because we know that Hansi Flick has these group of players very united and very focused, and they score a lot of goals. And so what we are going to be doing in this video is quickly speak about Pablo Torre and his future, and then later in the video, we're going to be talking about the pre-match preview for these two teams. Starting with point number 1. Hernandez has reported that Deco met with Pablo Torre's agents to talk about the player's future at Barcelona. Mundo Deportivo has also stated that Barcelona don't want to let Pablo Torre leave, but the player wants to have more playing time. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up very early in the video is because I want to ask you guys, do you guys think that Pablo Torre has a position in this team or a role in this team? Because the more I think about it, the more I'm starting to see that Pablo Torre may not have a future at Barcelona. Now, I'm not saying that because I think that Pablo has been poor or he's a poor player, he always underperforms. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because there are 3 players above his position. Okay, there's a total of 3, and that's a lot. Pablo Torre plays in the central attacking midfield position within the 4-2-3-1 system, and every time he did play, he showcased why he is a quality player. But when you have players like Dani Olmo over you, when you have Pedri over you, when you have Fermin Lopez also over you, it is very difficult to see a future with that current club. And Pablo Torre is starting to see that maybe he should move elsewhere. But Deco and the rest of the sporting staff want Pablo to stay and have more continuity, right? This also explains the reason why I am saying that Pablo Torre is not a trash player. The sporting department wants to keep Pablo Torre because he has the quality. He can score goals. He can provide assists. That is why Barcelona do not want to let him leave. But at the end of the day, if the player does not see his future at the club and he wants to leave, there's nothing much more that Barcelona can do. And it is also very important for us to always maintain players that actually want to be here and never hold somebody in jail. It's very similar to how Pep Guardiola approaches his sporting project with Manchester City. He knows that if a player wants to leave, he's not going to fight for that player. He's going to let that player leave because he understands that the players' careers are very short and he doesn't want to keep anybody in a hostage situation or force anybody to have continuity. He would just say, okay, even if you're Erling Haaland, even if you're Kevin De Bruyne, even if you are Phil Foden, it does not matter. If you want to leave, then just go. I will readjust myself later. And so in the case of Pablo Torre, like if you look at his numbers, right, this season he has played 6 matches. Okay, it's not a lot. Like this guy really does get underutilized. 6 matches, but in those 6 matches, he scored 3 goals and provided 1 assist. That's very impressive. That is almost having 1 goal contribution per match that you do play. To put that into perspective, in the previous season with Girona, where Girona did very well, right, it was a super team. He played 29 matches, right, very utilized, but only scored 1 goal and provided 2 assists. This season that he is in right now, he has already surpassed the goal contribution. So he has been doing very well. He has been very effective. Hansi Flick understands the player. The player also understands the instructions coming from Hansi, and so that is why the question is very difficult to answer, right? It's like, should we let go of Pablo Torre because he is good, but at the same time we have Fermin, we have Dani Olmo and Pedri who play within those positions. Pablo Torre is a player that can score goals. I mean, like, look at what happened with Racing Santander before he joined Barca Athletic. Yes, it was in the 2nd division, but in that season he played 32 matches and scored 10 goals. Very similar to what Fermin Lopez did last season, but with Barcelona's first team. So Pablo Torre and Fermin Lopez, I would say, are very similar in terms of goal contributions. But god damn it, man, like, is Dani Olmo so good? And I don't see him like ever going to the bench. Same thing with Pedri. And Fermin Lopez wants to also have a say. So let me know in the comment sections down below, what do you think Barcelona should do with Pablo Torre? So now let's talk about the match between Celta Vigo and FC Barcelona. So like I've said, Barcelona will be playing on November 23rd, 2024. It is going to be the regular standard time. For those those of you guys who are in Spain, it probably starts at 9. For me, who is in California, it does start at 12 p.m. But looking at Celta Vigo and their form, it has been a very mixed season. They have not been at their best. They're 7 points above the relegation zone. They have been very inconsistent. Yes, they have had some players that have blossomed, like Mingueza. Aspas also continues to showcase why he is one of Celta Vigo's best players, but overall, this team has been very poor. In the past few games that they have played, they have only accumulated 3 wins. Then there have been 3 losses and 2 ties. And one of those 3 wins did not even come from La Liga. They won against a team called UD San Pedro in the Copa del Rey, where they won 5-1. The other 2 wins were from La Liga, so they have not really won a lot within the league. They have been in very poor form. And recently against Real Betis, they tied, and it was 2-2. Now, does this mean that Barcelona are going to find it very easy to defeat Celta Vigo at their home? I don't think so. We'll see. We know the history between Celta and FC Barcelona. There is always something insane that happens. They like to revive themselves every time they know that Barcelona is in front of them. And the players that we should be very well aware of against them at their home is going to be Iglesias, who has scored 4 goals so far for them this season. I will say also Aspas, who also has 4 goals for them this season. And then they also do have Hugo Alvarez, who has had an amazing season with Celta so far. And most importantly, I think that Barcelona have to take care of Mingueza. Mingueza has been very solid for Celta Vigo so far. He has 5 assists, dude. Like 5 assists with Celta. He has never done that with FC Barcelona. And not just that, but he has scored 2 goals for Celta. So this guy is almost acting like if he's a prime Cafu or something, or like a prime Roberto Carlos. Like where did he even get this form from? Why are you now performing, but you cannot bring that at Barcelona? It's insane. But if you also think about it, if Mingueza never played poor and he always exceeded his level, we would have never gotten Jules Koundé in the first place. And Jules Koundé is like literally the best right back in the world. So I'm kind of happy in the way that things did turn out, but still, like, bro, you're doing good at Celta. Now you want to talk a lot of smack against your previous team, which we will be talking about later in this video. But as for Barcelona, we're still at the top of the table, right? We have the best average possession. We have the best goals per match rate, which is 3.1. Celta Vigo is also up there. They are in 4th place with a total of 1.5, but they do concede a lot of goals per 90 minutes. They are one of the worst, and they allow 1.7 goals on average per 90 minutes. But I can sense a lot of tensions between Celta and Barcelona already, because when you do have Marcos Alonso, who has just said that, you know, he's not going to be afraid to celebrate against Barcelona if he scores, or when you have Mingueza also stating that he did not enjoy his time at Barcelona and that he feels like Barcelona in some sense betrayed him. I'm like, bro, I just cannot wait to see you on Saturday. Mingueza a couple of hours ago stated this: when Xavi arrived, we weren't in a good relationship. Maybe he didn't like me or something. He told me I would play 10 games. I don't think he had the best mentality in the world, and that is why I left FC Barcelona. So what he's basically saying is, I left Barcelona because if Xavi's not going to have the best mentality in the world, Barcelona is also not going to have the best mentality in the world. And while yes, that could be in a way true, like yes, Barcelona from a mental standpoint, we were very poor, which is why we lost a lot of games. It does not mean that you should walk away from your boyhood club just because you see your boyhood club struggling and you don't see them having the best mentality supposedly in the world. It does not mean that you should run away. You should be one of the players that should go through thick and thin. You should be one of those players that would die for this club even if they are at their worst moments. Mingueza seemed like a fake player, and he just said, oh, okay, so this is a poor team with poor mentality. The coach supposedly does not even like me, does not use me. I'm just gonna leave. There are many players that played under Xavi's era that could have just left. They could have done that because they did not play. Like, for example, Casado. Casado could have left. He could have easily left. Like, this guy was, yes, featuring in the bench of Xavi Hernandez's first team, but he never got the real chances, right? He could have left. He could have gone to a different team and just said, Xavi said this and he said that I was gonna have some sort of position within the midfield, and I'm already 21, 22 years old. Like, what's going on here? I'm just gonna leave. Like, Casado could have done that, but he didn't. He continued to fight for his place. Mingueza, on the other hand, had a very different approach, and just because you scored 2 goals and provided 5 assists for Celta, it does not give you the right to speak down on somebody, right? Like, why would you speak down on a legend like Xavi Hernandez who won the league? I think that it is safe to admit, to just say that you were not good enough to be a consistent starter at Barcelona. It was a you problem. It was not a Xavi Hernandez problem, right? This is the thing that I do hate about some football players, is that they like to point fingers and say it was his fault, or it was that fault, it was this person's fault, it was the CEO's fault. Like, I don't like that. I don't like when you point fingers. Why don't you just focus on yourself and understand why you were not being used as much as you would like to? Even I remember even Busquets complained about why you were always out of position on the field. And Xavi, the one thing that he was hired for was looking out for the best for the team, not looking out for the best of Mingueza. Xavi Hernandez was not hired to do that. He was hired to bring the best results he could with FC Barcelona and bring in the best possible team. He did not need to prove you or owe you anything, because at the end of the day, you did not prove anything. And now I do wonder how he feels to see Jules Koundé be successful at Barcelona. Jules Koundé has been a phenomenal right back, the best right back in the world, and he is everything Mingueza wished he could have been. Jules Koundé is our modern version of Cafu, and we're very happy with his services. So going to Barcelona, right? Barcelona recently just lost against Real Sociedad 1-0 in their most previous game before the international break. But before that, Barcelona only scored a lot of goals, right? We were very victorious. We had a 5-2 win against Red Star, a 3-1 win against Espanyol, a 4-0 win against Real Madrid, 4-1 win against Bayern, 5-1 win against Sevilla, 3-0 win against Alaves, 5-0 win against Young Boys in the Champions League. But yes, it was that loss that really did deteriorate us very recently. And I believe that we have to put this loss aside. I just think that this is a team that can either win really good and convincingly, or we just underwhelm our performance. Like we just really underdeliver. So it's like really good or really bad. And hopefully we already changed things up. And when we go against Celta, we win 5-1. We win 4-0. That is the type of performance we are expected to see, because these players and the coach has the capacity to do so. So Hansi Flick spoke about a few things. He also gave us an idea on who we could see in the starting 11. And he stated this: who are we going to be replacing Lamine Yamal in the starting 11? It could be Rafinha. It could be Pau. It could be Dani. It could be Fermin Lopez. We have many options. AKA, if you guys do not know who could be starting on the right side, most likely is going to be Fermin Lopez, who performed amazing last time he replaced Lamine Yamal. It's going to be Fermin Lopez on the right side with Rafinha on the left and Lewandowski up top. The central attacking midfielder most likely is going to be Dani Olmo. Then Flick spoke about Gavi, and they have asked Flick whether Gavi is going to be starting tomorrow. And then he stated, yes, he could start. So most likely, right, if Gavi does start, which is going to be his first start in a very long time, if he does start tomorrow against Celta, he's probably going to be playing in the double pivot position next to either Casado or maybe even Frankie de Jong. And man, dude, like I really do hope that tomorrow we get to witness a double pivot of Casado and Gavi, because I do think that that is going to be the double pivot that he will be going for. I know that Pedri's still there and stuff like that, but I mean, who knows, right? We could see Pedri in the central attacking midfield role with Gavi and Casado behind him. But then again, I don't know if Dani Olmo is going to get benched. I just don't see that. Or could we see a double pivot of Gavi and Pedri? That would also be amazing. It's going to be so much fun now with Gavi now returning. He's fully healthy. Hansi Flick has also confirmed that Gavi is now fully fit and just ready to start in any 11. And so what do I think is going to be Barcelona's starting 11 against Celta? It's going to be very tough, because once again, it is that midfield, right, that you can't have a straight opinion on, because you just never know what Hansi's going to come up with. We have so many options, but I'm just going to give my quick take here. I believe that Peña will be in goal. Our defensive line will be Alejandro Balde, Inigo Martinez, and Cubarsí, with Jules Koundé on the right back position. Our double pivot will be, I'm just going to say this just for the sake of saying it. I'm not saying that this is factual or real or it's going to for sure happen, but I'm just going to assume that it is going to be Casado and Gavi. And then our central attacking midfield position is going to be Pedri or Dani Olmo. I'm going to just say Dani Olmo and give Pedri some rest. Why not? And then on the right wing position, we have Fermin Lopez. On the left wing position, Rafinha. And up top, we have Lewandowski. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.